Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome back to the Think Factory podcast powered by OGC Solutions. And I'm Chris Santomassimo, your host. And I'm pretty excited to sit across the table from Vince Luchison. He's with Kongskilde Industries. He's a regional manager for the Southeast U.S. and Latin America. And we're here live at the Printing United Expo in Atlanta. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. I guess where should we go?
Well, yeah, exactly. We looked at each other like, who's going to talk next? So here we go. That's what happens when you do just live conversations.
No, I get it.
Well, anyway, thanks to this great expo, Vince and I got to meet a couple of weeks ago by phone, and I learned a lot about Kongskilde. What's particularly cool about it is that the company is connected deeply with the printing industry because of some of the things that you make, which I'm going to let you talk about in a minute. But I was actually fascinated by how diverse or how many diverse industries the company services because of the products that it makes. So I'd love to hear more about it.
So our products are pneumatic-based. Blowers was actually industrial blower was actually the first thing that was our founder invented to move grain. So we're all over the agricultural space, but if anything you can move with air in an industrial application, we usually can handle, unless it's metals or for obvious reasons. I mean, metals moving 43 feet per second. Heavy and dense, but even when you do get it moving, right, it'll erode the pipe, and then you got a safety hazard. So we like to stay within plastic, waste streams in particular. That's where we fit in here. The waste stream for large industrial print, trims, trim scrap, and then the back end of that becomes usually a recycling process. We've worked with paper companies, some that even repulp inside the facility. So we handle everything from the end of the line where they're producing a paper printed product to the back end where they're repulping and producing paper. Plastics, film film converters. I have film converters. I have printers, printing labels for a bag of oranges, say, trimming those down the size, rewinding them. We're managing all of the waste production throughout that whole process, and oftentimes taking it back to a repelletizer inside the plant, converting it back to plastic pellets where they'll blow new film out of it right there.
Or if it's a user of the film, they can actually recycle it and create a different revenue stream.
Yes. And some people bail this and sell it, or just give it to a recycler. They don't want the landfill costs, so they'll literally partner with a recycling company. Some people find a way to sell these complete waste streams. It happens, there's lots of ways to skin a cat with this. Right. And it depends on what your product is, what the demand for it, right? Like polypropylene might be more in demand than a PVC. Right. But, that really isn't us that determines that. We just figure out a way to integrate everything in the middle for the customer.
One reason I was awed by our discussion last time, I'm not easily impressed, but when it comes to the things that you do, I was super impressed for a couple of reasons. Number one is the technology and the way that you design these systems, but number two, you're really hitting squarely the whole sustainability issue and trying to reduce people's impact on the environment or carbon footprint through recycling. And that really is on the tip of a lot of people's tongues here at the expo.
Yes, that space is just going to continue to grow. We are directly involved with recycling all forms of paper and plastic waste, even in recycling sorting facilities we're in, where you actually can build ahead. I'm quoting a system like this now, right, to be honest, but you go ahead and vacuum off the plastic bottle, and then the conveyor line moves down. Then we have another vacuum at a different rate, a little bit lower, to pick up the heavier material, and vice versa, until you sort all the way down through where you're picking up the banana peels and garbage. But these type of systems, this needs done. We've all driven by landfills, right? We don't need mountains of garbage. No matter where people stand on what their thoughts are, we don't need that. We need to reuse this stuff. It makes sense. And if you're going to do it, you need an energy efficient, lowest cost cost of ownership, I'm not going to say we're not the lowest cost, but cost of ownership, low maintenance, low energy usage, that's kind of our niche.
Right. And also you're taking the labor issue off the table as well, because you're automating the process.
Which is a challenge these days, let's face it. I mean, everywhere I go into, they're hiring. And I run into the same. Do you know anyone that can do this? No. Not that's looking, or exactly. They live in Indiana, but not, or whatever, whatever it is. Like, we just have a shortage of skilled labor right now for whatever reason. And,
I also think that when you can automate a process and reduce the reliance on labor, number one, you're increasing efficiency, but I don't think of it as getting rid of jobs. I think about it as the opportunity to elevate the jobs of the people that you already have to do better things.
Elevate the jobs, make the job more technical, and I'm an engineer by trade, but you take the variable out. Right. The human variable in that process.
Well, your systems are a lot faster, a lot more efficient than even the best employee, right?
Yes.
But it's not that easy to get to find an employee to sort through recycling, and nor are humans that good at it. Right?
No, and we have other systems that this doesn't apply to this show at all, really, but medical injection molders, right? If they have a high-speed medical part, say a syringe, you'd never want a human hand touching that. So we'll actually convey those parts from the machine to the automation cell that's putting them together and printing them and packaging them. No human hands, in most cases, and at least in the U.S., no human hands touch those products.
See, what's cool about Kongskilde too is that you're in so many of our important manufacturing processes, but because of your role, a lot of companies may not even know about the company, right?
No, you get one of two things, with us. When I meet new people, they either Kongskilde, oh my God, that's the best equipment I've ever had, or who the heck are you? Yeah. There's not really an in between. So one of my jobs is to bridge that gap.
Well, hopefully the Think Factory podcast can help bridge the gap a little bit too. So going back to what Kongskilde does, what's exciting here for your company in terms of what you're seeing at the expo, and maybe what do you see as an opportunity going forward next year?
Well, I mean, honestly, what's exciting to me is just seeing this is a very creative space, and I feel like there's a lot of technology that is coming out in the world that really is outpacing legislation, like AI, that I don't really understand. But when I come here, I think that suppresses creativity to a degree. But I come here and everything I see is creative and innovative. And, that just gives me a comfort level about where industry can move in the future. We have this advanced technical, I don't even know how to say it. We're in a period of time where technology is just rolling out. AI, chat GPT, whatever. But I still want to see human beings be creative, right? And here, that's all over the place.
Oh, for sure. The innovation that you see here is phenomenal, whether you're talking about apparel or, things printed on rigid board or paper, whatever it is. There's so much, and this is where I think the printing industry and the folks like you that service an element of it don't really get enough credit. Folks can understand the technology that goes into creating a package or creating a mailer in the form of direct mail. It's frankly amazing. It may not seem sexy to somebody who's used to writing apps for an iPhone, maybe, like a kid. But there's so many engineering challenges or engineering opportunities and artistic opportunities in print, for me anyway.
If people knew what went into a lot of the things they just open up and throw away, they might look at everything completely different. That's one of the big pluses of being in industry, and I came from industry, but in this position, I get into industries I've never had been in before, like printing and large paper converting, etc. But even dog food manufacturing, coming from the plastics and electronics world, I never saw most of that. And you kind of, when you see how in depth in the engineering that is behind some of these systems, 3 and 4 story tall extruders that the film begins with, and then it ends up on a roll getting printed into a bag that your oranges are held in. It is fascinating.
That's what I say about packaging and direct mail in particular. It's people just take it as a given that this happens, and don't appreciate the process. And it's the first thing that you throw out when you open up the product.
Yes.
When you open up the mail, right? But it is truly fascinating here, and I think not only for people who are currently in it, but for younger people who are coming up into an industry, there's a ton of opportunity just to be creative, which is one of the nice things about being around this industry for sure.
Yeah, this is really an industry where young, I guess it's right brain thinking people can flourish in. This is a very creative industry.
No doubt.
And I mean, you just walk around here and the colors just pop out at your eyes. Just different design. I saw prints here that were almost 3D. Maybe they were. I don't know. Maybe my vision couldn't pick out what it was supposed to be, but it just popped out. That.
I actually think I was comparing the other day an image on a screen versus the same image printed with embellishment, with raised lettering and things and raised portions of the image. It was a skyline picture. I actually think it looks better printed than it does on the screen.
Most cases, and that may be just the light, not to geek out and go engineering, but, our monitors are based primarily in blue light, right? They don't have the brown light, the red light. And so when you're printing it, you're not limited to those. You're not limited to what the LEDs in the back of your monitor are.
Correct.
So you can see the full spectrum, and it does jump out at you. And it doesn't hurt your eyes to stare at it forever. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear, some of you've kind of touched on dog food manufacturing and all these, and the recycling and all these different industries that you work in. I'd love to hear about some of the projects that Kongskilde is working on now, or maybe that you're in the middle of too, that folks will find interesting.
Right now I'm working on a very large project for a new factory that makes paper products, paper consumable products for your kitchen. I think I could say it, just paper plates. And it's a very large converting line. Starting with rolls of 28 weight paper, or 18 weight actually, down to tens of thousands of 12-inch paper plates a minute. And there's a matrix involved in that, a continuous matrix that we're going to pull away and then shred in line, convey it back, discharge the air, filter the dust, and then convey that paper waste back to a repulping machine where they're going to repulp and
right on site.
Right on site, yeah. They produce the rolls of paper on site.
Crazy. So you're able to get the entire chain, the entire supply chain in one site. Right?
Yes. And a true zero waste product stream. All their waste is reused.
Are you also factoring in the good benefit of not having to truck the waste to another facility and reprocess it and bring it back to the facility? Because that's got to be something interesting too.
That is in the thought process when they lay out a factory like this. That is calculated, yes.
They must be doing the printing on site too for the images and designs on the plate.
I believe so, but we're not at that point yet. Actually, we're in the layout phase early on, so I believe they will be, but I can't say for certain.
So the pneumatic processes or pneumatic products that Kongskilde makes is the element of the line that brings the waste back for the repulping, right?
Yes. In this particular operation, yes. But, we don't always work with just waste. Sometimes we work with finished product, like the syringe example I gave you. But, in this case, yes, so all waste back to repulping, true zero waste system. I guess there's dust, right? But we filter that. You can never really have zero. You're going to produce something pretty close. Yeah.
But what's interesting to me, too, is things that may have been ignored or landfilled and wasted, you're able to really recover all of that and minimize the impact of the operation.
Yes. And we do the same thing in plastics operations. A lot of the larger plastics producers now repelletize their material in-house, and just so then they control the whole thing. They're taking all their plastic waste in a system like ours, taking it back to a repelletizing line, extruding it. That extruders have a water jet, cut their pellets, and they run those pellets with virgin pellets and make new film. Through the whole, the whole process is literally zero waste interior. And I think that's the way the future has got to be. It's the way the past should have been, to be honest. Like,
people just didn't have the technology and maybe a little lazy sometimes because it was cheap, right?
Well, in engineering school in the 90s, at least, I don't keep up with what they're teaching people now, but we looked at waste streams. It's like, okay, what are my byproducts? Can I sell them? Can I reuse them? Everything else aside, this just makes economic sense. What do you want to throw something away that you could sell or reuse? Why would you want to landfill it? I mean, environmental impact aside, it's bottom line for your company. So it's like a 360 win all the way around. You take the environmental impact away, you make more of a profit, and you're controlling these streams. So it doesn't make sense not to do it, really.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but without the technology that Kongskilde provides, some of this wouldn't be possible, I think, right?
Definitely not with pneumatics, no. I mean, it would be a lot more archaic, a lot more labor intensive.
Any other great projects on your calendar or your agenda?
I had quite a few. I have a lot of I have a large Latin American project I'm working on right now in a recycle operation that's a sorting facility, kind of like what I explained earlier. And these are really challenging because you really don't know what is going to get dumped in. And you're after bottles, you're after plastic bags, and then, kind of the organic heavy waste. And when I say organic, I mean organic like banana peels, or a wet paper towel or something that can be picked up and used too. But you have to be able to. I'm after A, B, and C, and then we're going to let everything else fall off the end of the conveyor, and we may be able to use a manual sorting process or a washing process to get some of that, but they have to define what they want, and then we have to be able to engineer what can we work out, what can we do and what can't we do. You can't do everything, right? You can't automatically sort everything. You literally, with technology today, at least to my knowledge, you can't dump a trash bag or a dumpster, a trunk load into a thing and come out with 40 cans of everything sorted individually. To my knowledge, that tech doesn't exist right now. So we have to do what we can with the tech we have and sort out what's important. The plastic, obviously, you want to get the plastic and paper is usually what you're after.
And then to the extent you keep some bottles and cans out of the landfill, even better, right?
Yes.
I think that's tremendous. I mean, I don't know if it's part of your thinking all the time, but you're doing good work in enabling municipalities and people to be a little bit better on the planet. So I think that's, on top of everything else, I think that's an amazing message.
Oh, I think it's awesome. Yeah, definitely. Like, I've always, I'm an outdoorsman, so, I go outside and I see, if I'm fishing and I see a plastic bag in the stream, I'm not happy.
Yeah, and you're gonna take it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, when that doesn't kill some wildlife.
Yeah, so I want that reused, and I want the cleanest air and cleanest environment possible. Cleanest water is probably the one that is the most important to me. But we need to think about these things. We have to be better stewards of the planet. We have been bad stewards of the planet.
Yeah. Some of it's a learning process, and as I said, some of it is lack of efficient technology until now. So
yes,
pretty amazing stuff.
But problems drive technology, and here we go.
Right.
So
necessity and the mother of invention saying, right?
Yes, exactly.
For sure. Well, you're a heck of a steward and a spokesperson for the company. You got me excited about it, and I hope that people listen and think about Kongskilde as an option for their factories.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It was a lot of fun. So,
it was.
As I've said, I end up learning more from these podcasts than I am able to share myself. So I appreciate you introducing me to the industry too.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the time.
Oh, it was great. So just to recap, this was Vince Luchison from Kongskilde Industries, and he's the regional manager in the Southeast USA and Latin America. And again, thank you for a great talk today, and just a nice. I think you may be the last podcast for our show this week. So, what a great way to end it up.
Save the best for last.
Absolutely, we did. So,
thank you.
So thanks again for listening to the Think Factory podcast, which is powered by OGC Solutions, and we'll see you next time.